Hey, why not learn something from the dads in our favorite games? So, without further ado, I present my Game Dad starting 5. We got Joel from The Last of Us, Lee from Telltale's The Walking Dead, Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2, Geralt from The Witcher, and Kratos from God of War. And if time permits, we have Ethan from Heavy Rain.
Hello there.
Welcome to Lessons from Game Dads. Alright, I'm gonna jump right to it because I can hear you through the screen.
Arthur Morgan? Why Arthur and not John Marston? Sure, Arthur's got the brawn and the looks, and yeah, I enjoyed the hours we spent together watching the sun set over the...
I hear your complaints loud and clear, but Arthur is technically a dad. Plus, he's the guy who kicked John's ass into dad mode in the first place. Ooh. And also, some of you may not know the plots of the games I've mentioned, including Red Dead, as big as it is. So, for every game, I'll drop an extremely short description. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a Wild West tale that follows Arthur Morgan, the loyal muscle in a group of outlaws, as he discovers that their leader might be damning his morality. But I feel like, even if you've never played Red Dead 2, you know it's regarded as one of the best games ever, and its story has brought adults to tears. I forgot to say 2 things. First of all, there's going to be spoilers in this video. And second, there's going to be a lot of reenactments because I'm about to be a dad and I don't have the money to rebuy some of these games for short snippets of footage. I mean, I'm pinching pennies here, people. Among the treasure trove of life lessons doled out in Arthur Morgan's journey, I left with this. No matter what, it's never too late to change. I'll set the scene. Arthur has a gripe with the star of the first Red Dead Redemption, John Marston, because John committed heavy to being a deadbeat dad, leaving his gang, his woman, and his son for an entire year. He went out for milk at the nearest saloon and he never came back. And for a good majority of the game, Arthur holds this grudge tight. That is, until he finds out that he's dying, and he realizes he has to right his wrongs. So later in the game, when another member of the gang tries to get out of Dodge, this is what happens. I'm a changed man, Arthur. I can't die for a bunch of nonsense spouted by a fool.
I understand.
Better yet, Arthur tells John exactly what he wants John to do.
I feel like you should take your woman and child and get lost. Do you? You can give something to Jack. It's that or... Well, I don't see no way out of this.
Well, what about loyalty?
Be loyal to what matters. What are you gonna do? I'll be okay. But do it, for me. And it would make me feel good, if that makes any sense.
A little, but...
Listen to me. When the time comes, you gotta run and don't look back. This is over.
It wasn't hard to find the parenthood lesson I could take from Red Dead, because there were so many options. There's lessons in protecting your family, to lessons in personal growth. I mean, it's right there in the title, redemption. But for me, the idea of change, no matter how far gone you are, or whatever your upbringing looked like, that held the most weight. I spent the entirety of my 20s running amok in
New York City.
But now I'm out of the city, and my life might soon be closer to this. Aw, ain't that sweet? Now, whether you're struggling to find your way in life, or you feel like you're stuck doing something you don't absolutely love, or, in my case, you're wondering if you're ready for this next phase of life, it's never too late to change, and hopefully for the better. Alright, cut the sappy music and let's get to the next lesson from the next dad. Oh hell yeah, we've got the God Killer. So for this one, I looked at the 2 God of War games that delve into fatherhood, which are God of War from 2018 and God of War Ragnarok. And though they are 2 separate games, the quick elevator pitch is something like Kratos is a former Greek god who battles monsters and gods of Norse mythology with the aid of his son Atreus. And it's got that Norse touch, so bring on that guttural music. Alright, I'm not gonna lie to you, I am dog shit at following along with Greek mythology and Norse mythology. Once those names start flying, I'm left by the wayside. But there's a line in the earlier game that stuck out and has been echoed online, and that's "Don't be sorry, be better." It's like tough love with a side of wisdom.
Only fire when I tell you to fire.
I'm sorry.
Do not be sorry. Be better.
God of War does such a great callback in Ragnarok when Atreus, the son, hits Kratos with his own fatherly advice.
Atreus, I am sorry.
Don't be sorry, father. Be better.
Got him!
Now the lesson here is balancing tough love with support. And let me tell you, Kratos is as tough as they come. Just look at some of these interactions. It's like talking to a brick wall.
Father, do you ever wonder if you're doing the right thing?
No.
Okay.
Anyways, Kratos' arc goes from heavy-handed orders for Atreus to stay by his side at all times to this scene from the end of Ragnarok. It's the most pivotal point in the story, where his support of his son hits its crescendo. Put on the mask, Loki. Ask it the question.
This is your choice, son. I trust you.
Now we go from ash white skin to white ass hair. That transition sounded way better in my head. The Witcher 3 is a dark fantasy that follows Geralt of Rivia, an enhanced being tasked with hunting the monsters that have spilled over the dimensions into Geralt's world. In Wild Hunt, he searches for his adopted daughter Ciri, and the choices they make together will determine the fate of the world. Now, unlike the Norse and Greek mythology touted in God of War, The Witcher draws inspiration from Polish mythology and Slavic folklore, so maybe this still works? Cue that throat singing again. You'd think that in a world where people are getting slaughtered by monsters, the regular folks would revere Witchers. The guy is like the Fabio of monster slayers, but he seems to get so much hate. Like, this is how you're treated for your hard work.
Done drinking? Then f*** off. Don't want your kind here.
Oh dear.
But the lesson to be had in this particular game is one of choices. You can choose to be an authority/helicopter parent, or you can choose to trust your kid and support them regardless of the stakes. Ciri, through this game, is coming into her own, and it's up to you to either push her forward or hold her back.
Damn it. Again you plan without even asking what I think. I've had enough of this. I won't be taken somewhere like a bundle. I will not sit and twiddle my thumbs. I'm sick of waiting, sick of hiding.
You're right. Prove today you could take care of yourself.
And the choice you make, it literally decides if she lives or dies. Seriously. Now, I don't know the official range of possible endings. It all depends on your actions, but it's somewhere between 15 and 36. The other thing I learned is to avoid the bad ending if you have trypophobia, because and also, your kid's cry could kill. And thanks to mods like Hacker Axe's Dad Bod mod and Omega Fantasy's God Eater mod, I learned that badass dads can come in all shapes and sizes. And on that note, we jump to a character who is bigger than ever, thanks in part to HBO. I'm talking about Joel from The Last of Us. Let's just get this out of the way now. In The Last of Us, the world as we know it is brought down by a fungal infection in which a young girl named Ellie may be the only person immune. Alongside Joel, her stand-in father figure, the two must face deadly challenges to possibly cure the disease. And in this game, the only thing scarier than the infected are the emotions you'll feel. One moment that stuck out to me was the ice cream truck encounter.
What is this?
Oh, this is an ice cream truck.
An ice cream truck?
Yeah, Henry told me about these. They'd sell ice cream out of the truck.
What? No way. Joel?
That's true. This thing would drive around and play real loud, creepy music. Kids would come running out to buy ice cream.
You're totally with me.
Serious.
Man, you lived in a strange time.
See, Ellie was born into the apocalypse, and it sinks in deeper when you go through moments like this ice cream truck scene. Kind of teaches me to not take the little things for granted. They won't always be there. Rest in peace, Choco Taco. Anyway, the lesson in The Last of Us, much like The Witcher 3, is this. You can't choose your kid's path for them. Yes, I know how the first game ends and that you do make the ultimate choice, but that's where the teaching moment is. That moment is when the relationship between Ellie and Joel changes forever. Neil Druckmann, the creative director and writer on The Last of Us, dropped the biggest lesson in his keynote speech at IGDA. In the process of making the game, he actually had a baby girl. And in talking about Ellie and Joel's arc, he said this, that all the sacrifices we make as parents is to give our kids tools to make their own decisions. You know what? The Last of Us is one of the last physical copies of a game I have. Do I even still have it? There you are. Sticking to dads of the post-apocalyptic infection variety, we head over to Telltale's The Walking Dead. This story follows Lee Everett, a convicted killer who turns into the surrogate father of a young girl named Clementine, as they make decisions to try and survive the zombie apocalypse. This game could easily have given you this kid's sidekick who would be an absolute burden and make you hate playing. Instead, they gave you Clementine, who's smart and capable and truly puts you in a dad protector mode throughout the entire game. It's scenes like the following that make you feel like a dad making a difference.
I did it!
Yeah, you did. Good job.
I just pretended they were walker heads.
Good. Just like you should.
They're not walkers, though.
No, far from it. But you know how these things work now. We'll graduate you to walkers one day.
Okay, I feel good.
Not so scary, huh?
Nuh-uh.
And moments like this are compounded over and over to the point that if anyone hurts Clementine, oh, I swear to God.
That little girl's in my care. We've been through more together than you can imagine. Anyone who tries to get between me and her, anyone, is gonna wind up dead. You hear me?
Take your hands off me. The most potent lesson I took from this game wasn't a sound or an incident with a zombie. It was words on a screen. You see, when you make a certain choice or complete a task, words will pop up on the top of your HUD. But the one sentence that f***ed me up was this. Clementine will remember this. Not only is it about how you react as a dad or the things you say and do, it's the imprint you leave on your kid. You gotta make sure it's a good one, because your kid will remember this. Now, this game came out in 2012, and I remember it being one of the earliest games with choices that had a cause and effect that I actually cared about. The only one I can remember before this was a little game called Way of the Samurai. In this game, you get plopped in front of a bridge where a bunch of guys are harassing a woman. You get to choose whatever you want to do. You can avoid the bridge altogether and head up the side of a mountain, or go on the bridge and fight the men, or you can go under the bridge and try to avoid it that way. Or my favorite and weirdest option, you can walk backwards where you came from and end the game entirely. Leading to a lesson best said from the poet Little Jonathan, don't start no shit, won't be no shit. Alright, I guess I'm just killing time before getting to the final dad. Heavy Rain follows a grieving dad, Ethan, and a web of supporting characters as he tries to save Ethan's son, who's been abducted by a serial killer known as the Origami Killer. It's important to note that this is Ethan's second son. His first was killed at the offset of the game. I can't lie on this, Heavy Rain felt heavier the first time I played it. The music's still eerie, of course, but now I can't get past some of the monotony. I mean, one of the first things you control is shaking a carton of orange juice and tilting it into your mouth, or like juggling just for the f*** of it. It's not that it's a bad game, it's not. It just doesn't hold up like I thought it would. But there's still lessons to be learned, like prioritize your family, or lessons in making tough decisions. I also learned that I could never name my kid Jason because this is all I'd ever think about.
Jason, 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 Jason.
Oh yeah, and that grocery stores or farmers markets or whatever the f*** the detective ran into can be insanely dangerous. I mean, the guy slips on frozen fishes and then gets live chickens thrown at him.
Clean up on aisle 5.
It's like the art direction in this game was trying to channel a Jackie Chan movie. Alright, before we wrap up, I'd like to give a shout out to the creators out here who post walkthroughs and multi-hour cutscenes of entire games. I work a ton, as you can imagine a guy with a baby on the way must do, and oftentimes that means having something playing in the background while I work. I've been able to catch up on games vicariously through these type of folks making these walkthroughs, so as a cash-strapped father-to-be, I thank you, and my wallet thanks you. If you enjoyed even a tiny bit of this video, please consider hitting that thumbs up and following my channel. It would mean the world, and hopefully I can be that person you throw on in the background. Wouldn't that be swell? Alright y'all, I'll see you on the next level up.